The day will come when keeping the Sabbath will be officially considered an act of rebellion. The churches will be united. Governments will be in agreement. And anyone who insists on honoring the commandment of the fourth day will be treated as a criminal. In this prophetic scenario, Seventh-day Adventists will become a global target. They will not go with the flow. They will not accept the change of the sacred day. And for that, they will be accused of fanaticism, civil disobedience, even spiritual terrorism. But this is not a conspiracy theory. It is what has already been revealed. It is what is written in Revelation 13. And the question we must all ask is, what will really happen to Adventists when the Sunday law is imposed? The answer is closer than we think. If you believe in prophecy and want to be prepared for what is to come, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other faithful Adventists. What is the Sunday law and why is it prophesied? The Sunday law is not just a distant idea or religious exaggeration. It represents a global imposition, the obligation to keep Sunday as a holy day, in direct opposition to the true biblical Sabbath, the seventh day. This prophecy is based on Revelation 13, which describes a beast with political and religious power that demands worship under threat of persecution. And in Revelation 14, the faithful people appear, refusing to accept the mark of the beast, keeping God's commandments, and having the faith of Jesus. But this is not a new concern. Ellen White, more than a century ago, warned that there would be a union between churches and governments, resulting in laws that would directly violate God's law. She wrote, "When Protestantism reaches across the gulf to take the hand of Roman power, when it bows under the arm of civil power, then we will know that the time is near when the end is at hand." The Great Controversy, page 588. And what do we see today? Religions uniting in the name of peace. Pressure for a Sunday rest in the name of climate justice and family. An exhausted world, seeking collective solutions to social, spiritual, and environmental crises. Preparation for the Sunday law is already underway. And the prophetic scenario is increasingly taking shape. Have you stopped to think about the impact this Sunday law will have on your life and your faith? Leave a comment here about what you believe will happen when this prophecy is fulfilled. Let's strengthen our faith together. When it is imposed, the target will be Sabbath keepers. When the Sunday law becomes official, the whole world will be faced with a choice, to obey God's commandment, or to follow the decree of men. And those who decide to continue keeping the Sabbath, as commanded in the fourth commandment, will be seen as rebels. Seventh-day Adventists will be treated as enemies of the social order. Fanatics, radicals, disobedient to authority. But the real issue will not be political. It will be a matter of worship. The great conflict prophesied in Revelation 13 and 14 does not revolve around wars or territorial disputes. It is a spiritual battle between two systems of worship, the true Sabbath, established by God at creation. The false Sabbath, Sunday, established by the tradition of men. Ellen White also stated, "The observance of the false Sabbath will be enforced by an oppressive law. The rejection of the truth will bring the faithful into direct conflict with the authorities of the world." Final Events page 135. At that time, keeping the Sabbath will not just be a matter of the calendar. It will be an act of spiritual resistance, a public declaration of loyalty to the Creator. And those who remain steadfast will feel the weight of persecution. Because the world will not tolerate a group that defies the global order, not with weapons, but with obedience. The role of Adventists in the midst of crisis. When the Sunday law is imposed and the world is divided between obedience to God or to the system, Seventh-day Adventists will not remain silent. They have not been called to hide, but to boldly proclaim the last warning message before the door of grace closes. The prophecy of Revelation 14 reveals three solemn messages: fear God and give Him glory. Babylon has fallen, the corrupt religious system. Do not accept the mark of the beast. This is the prophetic call of the SDA Church. While others retreat, Adventist believers will raise their voices to proclaim the truth about the commandments, the Sabbath, and the imminent judgment. In this final scenario, the threefold ministry of the church will be essential. The Bible, as the supreme authority. The spirit of prophecy, as a lesser light guiding to the greater light. Public witness, as living proof that it is possible to be faithful amid pressure. The mission of the church will not be popular. It will not be accepted by the media. But it will be clear, direct, and full of power. Because God raised up this people not to please the world, but to warn the world. The shaking, not all will endure when the pressure increases. When persecution intensifies, when faithfulness costs comfort, employment, and even freedom, not all Adventists will remain standing. The shaking will be a painful but necessary process. And it has already begun. Ellen White warned. The shaking will be caused by the direct testimony required by the Testimony Council. Some will not endure it and will rise up against it. This is what will cause the shaking among God's people. Early Writings, page 270. Some will abandon the faith. Others will try to reconcile truth with convenience. And many will accept Sunday observance, justifying it by saying, God knows the heart. But only one group will remain steadfast. Those who are rooted in the Word, guided by the Spirit, and willing to lose everything, except their faithfulness to the Lord. The shaking will not be a tragedy. It will be the purification of God's people. The moment when the true remnant will be revealed. Not by the name on the church roster, but by a life of obedience and spiritual courage. Revival and the latter rain as the world plunges into spiritual darkness, and most surrender to the pressure of the system, a people will remain in prayer, vigilance, and faithfulness. And upon this people, heaven will pour out power. The promise of the latter rain, the final outpouring of the Holy Spirit, will be fulfilled with intensity never seen before. Joel 2 verse 28 says, And it shall come to pass afterward, that I will pour out my Spirit upon all flesh, your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Ellen White confirms. The latter rain will be more abundant than the early rain. Great things will happen. The gospel will be carried to the whole world in a short time. Final Events, page 201. This revival will not be produced by human strategies or large religious productions. It will be the result of knees on the ground, broken hearts, and lives totally surrendered to God. And those who are filled with the Spirit will proclaim the truth boldly, without fear of persecution, without desire to please the world. The third angel's message will be proclaimed with heavenly power. Thousands will be converted in a short time. And even with opposition, censorship, and attacks, nothing will be able to stop this light. Because when the latter rain falls, God's people will speak with a voice of thunder. And the world will not be able to ignore it. The world's reaction and the final persecution when the message is proclaimed with power, when multitudes begin to leave Babylon. When the faithful refuse to accept the mark of the beast, the world will turn with fury against the Sabbath keepers. The media will distort the truth. Popular churches will unite against the troublers of the peace. And rulers will pass laws designed to silence the faithful. Revelation 13 verse 15 declares, It was given to him to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. The persecution will not be merely moral or psychological. There will be arrests. Property will be confiscated. Families will be separated. And yes, some will be killed for their faith. But as Ellen White said, God's people will be led through difficult scenes, but not a hair of their heads will fall without the Lord's permission. They will not be forsaken. The Great Controversy, page 699. Even silenced, defamed, and excluded from society, faithful Adventists will not retreat. For they will be filled with the Spirit, sealed by the truth, and anchored in the hope of final deliverance. And the whole world will witness their faithfulness. The deliverance and final victory of God's people. When the death decree is signed, when the faithful are surrounded, cornered, with no apparent way out, The heavens will open. That is when the God of the Sabbath intervenes. Revelation 16 describes the plagues falling on those who have accepted the mark of the beast. While God's people remain untouched, protected under the wings of the Most High. Ellen White describes it this way. The darkest night in history will be followed by the most glorious morning. God will manifest His power to deliver His people. The Great Controversy, page 635. Spiritual Babylon, that corrupt religious system that united church and state, will fall. Its lies will be exposed. Its power will be broken before the eyes of the world. And those who were despised because of the Sabbath, who were persecuted for obeying God's commandments, will be exalted before the universe. Malachi 3 verse 18 promises. Then you will again see the difference between the righteous and the wicked, between those who serve God and those who do not. All of heaven will rejoice. Christ will appear in glory. And the faithful who have persevered to the end will hear the words they have always hoped for. Well done, good and faithful servant. The final victory will not belong to the powerful or the famous, but to the faithful. To those who kept the Sabbath. To those who chose to lose the world to gain eternity. Everything that has been revealed will be fulfilled. Prophecy is not a possibility, it is a divine warning. The Sunday law is not a conspiracy theory. It is the last act of human history before the return of Christ. And when it is enacted, it will be too late to prepare. At that moment, there will be no more time for doubt, accommodation, or indecision. The eternal destiny of millions will be sealed, not by speech, but by the real choice of each soul. The question is, will you be among those who yield, or among those who stand firm? Will you bow down to the system, or will you lift your head before God? Revelation 14 verse 12 declares. Here is the perseverance of the saints, those who keep the commandments of God and the faith in Jesus. It doesn't matter if you are new to the faith, if you still have doubts, or if you have been in the church for years. The truth is one. Either you prepare now, or you will be swallowed up by the final crisis. The decision must be made today. Because in the time of persecution, there will be no more room to hide. If this video spoke to you, if your heart felt the weight of the truth, then don't remain silent. Comment below right now. I want to stand firm until the end. This is more than a comment. It is a commitment. It is a public declaration that you choose to stand with God, no matter the cost. And don't keep this message to yourself. Share this video with other Adventists. With brothers and sisters in faith. With family members. With friends. Because many are still asleep. And this may be the last chance to wake them up. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you don't miss any prophetic content. Here, the truth will not be silenced.